Today we're going to talk about the signs of toxic people. Those who drain your energy, lower your spirits, damage your self-confidence, and waste your time and effectiveness. These people not only harm those around themselves, but also they harm themselves too. At the end of the video, we're going to dive into why you might get involved in toxic relationships. And I think this is the most important part of this video. So be sure to stay with me until the end to understand what draws you into these unhealthy, destructive connections. Toxic people often target vulnerabilities in your inner self, and we're going to explore that in detail. First, toxic people believe that everything is always wrong, everything is always bad. It seems like they lost trust in the world and are trapped in negative emotions, living in constant anxiety, distrust, and pessimism. Imagine living in such a state. It is a heavy burden they want to offload onto someone else. When you interact with them, you pretty much become that trash can for their negativity. And their goal is to transfer their sadness, weakness, and despair onto you. Not even weakness, but just feeling helpless, making you feel the same, which of course weakens you, but temporarily relieves them of their emotional burden. By seeing others affected, they feel less isolated in their negativity, gaining a false sense of control over their emotions. Second, jealousy is another common trait of toxic people. Because their own lives always feel like they are falling apart, they cannot help but envy those who seem to have it all together. They constantly downplay their own achievements, they devalue themselves, and that only feeds into their jealousy. They always think that someone else has it better, and if you are happy or if you're successful, even if you just know how to be happy about what you have and have gratitude in your life, they might try to make you feel guilty about it. Being happy around them can feel really uncomfortable because their life is full of self-doubt, and instead of celebrating your success, it seems like they will try to bring you down to their level. Third, toxic people are always criticizing and blaming you. You're always wrong, you're never good enough, and you are constantly guilty in their eyes. Their goal is to make you feel guilty because once you do feel guilty, then they can manipulate you. They do not believe anyone will listen to them or will give them what they want unless they make you feel like you owe it to them through guilt. They also fear rejection, so they use guilt to control the situation and prevent that from happening. Toxic people often play the victim, using your kindness to trigger your savior complex. They want you to invest your energy and time saving them. And that will only drain you because they don't really want to be saved. They just want to avoid responsibility for their own issues. Fourth, toxic people are overly sensitive because they feel emotionally fragile and insecure. And no matter how you approach them, they're really quick to take offense. It's like they use any communication as an opportunity to provoke guilt in others. This behavior stems from a deep-rooted need to protect their fragile self-worth. They aim to break your self-esteem and confidence, making you feel guilty, so you'll act in ways that meet their needs. At their core, they fear being vulnerable and often try to manipulate others to avoid facing their own insecurities. Fifth, they create drama because their lives often feel empty or out of control. For toxic people, creating chaos can feel like a way to gain attention or control over their environment. They thrive on the emotional turmoil that they stir up, using it to distract from their own internal struggles. When they dramatize everything, they shift their focus onto themselves, drawing others into their world of confusion and chaos. This gives them a false sense of importance and power, as they make others feel responsible for their emotional well-being. In doing so, they drain your energy, pulling you deeper into their chaos so they can continue to avoid facing their own issues. Sixth, toxic people spread rumors and misinformation because it helps them avoid facing their own flaws. By creating chaos and turning people against each other, they distract from their own shortcomings. They project their worst qualities onto others, making it easier for them to avoid self-reflection. This gives them a false sense of control and keeps the focus away from their own issues. That's why it is important not to share pretty much anything with them, because they're going to twist whatever you share with them to fuel their own agenda. Seventh, toxic people always believe that they are right. No matter what you say, they're going to insist that they are correct, and which makes you always wrong. The main reason for this is that they have an overwhelming need to be seen as a superior. Admitting they are wrong would force them to face their own insecurities and flaws, which they are not willing to do. They confuse love with obedience, expecting you to agree with them or follow their lead without question, as a way to prove that you care. This manipulation helps them maintain control and avoid confronting their own issues. Eighth, toxic people never take responsibility. When something goes wrong, it's always someone else's fault. They shift blame onto others, making you feel responsible for their mistakes. They use this defense mechanism that is called splitting. It's where they project everything bad that in themselves onto someone else. This happens because challenging their self-image triggers very strong emotions like shame, guilt, fear, which they cannot handle. By avoiding responsibility, they protect their fragile sense of self and avoid the overwhelming emotional discomfort of confronting their flaws. 9. Toxic people often use the victim role to gain attention and keep others engaged. They seek help and sympathy as a way to feel connected, making their struggles the center of every interaction. And also they withhold forgiveness because this way they maintain control, and this is their way to keep the connection alive, even if it's through negativity. And it's always not about resolving issues. It is more about staying in control. So after we listed all these traits, you can notice that all of them have the same common denominator, which is basically it's an attempt to stay in control, and it is an attempt to avoid a certain emotion that is really hard to deal with. So technically, all the strategies is a protective mechanism, and we all use protective mechanisms. What makes it toxic is that defense mechanism works at the expense of other people. So why do we end up in toxic relationships? We often find ourselves in toxic relationships because we unconsciously respond to people who reflect our own unhealed wounds. The principle is simple. We connect where our traumas align. For example, people who get involved with narcissists often share a hidden need to feel special. Narcissists hook you with attention and validation, feeding that unmet need. Similarly, if you are drawn to emotionally unavailable people, it might stem from your own fears of closeness or fears of rejection. So how to break the cycle? First, recognize the pattern. Ask yourselves, what part of me feels drawn to this dynamic? Awareness is always the first step to change. Second, strengthen your self-worth. Toxic people thrive on gaps in self-esteem. Focus on validating yourself instead of seeking it externally. And of course, set boundaries. When someone brings drama or negativity, do not engage. And you can even start responding with a question like, why are you sharing this with me rather than engaging with it. When you ask a question this way, you sort of shift dynamics and get control back. Next, prioritize stability. Learn to appreciate calm, healthy relationships. They might feel unfamiliar at first. They might feel boring at first, but they bring true emotional security. By focusing on your inner growth and boundaries, you're going to stop repeating these cycles and attract healthier connections. If this video helped, hit like button, comment below, and subscribe for more insights. Thank you for watching and look forward to seeing you in the next video.